Welcome to Hilary Topper On Air, the podcast you can't afford to miss.
Leadership is defined as the ability to create a vision and influence, motivate, inspire, and transform others to achieve certain goals toward that vision. So, how does leadership positively or negatively impact your small business? I'm Hilary Topper, and this is Hilary Topper On Air. Today, I'm speaking with Dr. Ronald K. Stair. He's the principal and CEO of Creative Plan Designs, a CEFEX certified third-party administrative firm. Welcome to the show, Ron.
Well, thank you. Thank you. It's always fun to be here with you.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and Creative Plan Designs.
Well, let's see. What do I want to know? We are just really good at what we do, but we're really good at it because we have really exceptional people.
Awesome. And tell us how Creative Plan Designs helps small business owners.
Well, most people think that their retirement plan choices are limited by what the big box shops tell them exist, and they're generally not given choices. So everybody has this siloed cookie cutter kind of plan because that's what the Walmarts of the pension industry sell. But if you look at something as simple as a one-person business, there are 104 permutations of retirement plans that a one-person business can have.
Wow. And
the opportunity for an individual who works outside of our space, which we refer to as the civilians, for them to get that, to guess right, is, it's not going to happen generally. They're going to follow the path of whatever the big box place puts in front of them because it's a brand, whether it's, one of the major wirehouses or one of the major mutual fund houses. They all have a brand, and people think, well, that brand is going to take care of me. But that brand is all about selling stuff. They're not about selling advice and plan types. So what we do is we ask people, what are you really trying to achieve? And that requires trained people who are going to take the time to sit and listen to you. So that's really what we do for people. How do you maximize the efficiency of your retirement plan within your given budget and your business circumstances at the time?
So let's talk a little bit about these awards that you guys have just recently won, including the When Work Works Award, the LIBM Corporate Citizenship Award, and the Best and Brightest Workplaces Award. How do you attribute these successes?
Well, for starters, I look at my value of this company is in the employees, not in the clients.
Yep.
And we just treat people really well, but they in turn treat us really well. It's just a mutual understanding that we're all in this together. So our corporate structure is very, very flat. And I'm not going to say it's a democracy. It's somewhat of a benevolent dictatorship. But everybody here has insight, right from the file clerk up to my senior actuaries. Mm-hmm. And it's very much of a collective thought process here and very, very level. So recently we've had 3 people retire, and we're in the same industry. The problem is finding talent in any industry is difficult. I was able to go out and grab 4 people from other firms purely on the reputation of how we treat people here.
Wow, that's amazing. So you were also recently featured on NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt. How did that come about, and what specifically were they interested in learning about?
Well, about 4 years ago, someplace I was published talking about our vacation policy here, where I make the employees take their vacation time. You will unplug, you will go away on vacation, and when you're gone, you have no access to your email or voicemail here. You're gone. And that's got somebody's attention over there in their team who looks for news stories.
Huh.
We were scheduled to be interviewed about 2 years ago on this, and then something came up that was more urgent to the channel, and they reached out again to us this year and said, this is still intriguing us.
Huh. Awesome.
And I thought that was interesting that this sat in somebody's brain for more than 2 years at that level, because these are very busy people with a lot of stuff going on, and that somehow stuck in their head. But it's, if you think about the fact that you need to have your vacation, you have to clear the filing cabinets in your brain every so often. And, quite frankly, what we do is very important work, but it's, there are no pension plan emergencies.
Right.
So go. Just go and enjoy and take care of it. And you have to unplug.
I love that. That's awesome. Are you able to do that when you go away?
Yeah, I do.
That's awesome. Awesome.
But the only reason I can is because I trust everybody that's still here.
Uh-huh. You have great teams, so you feel comfortable with that.
Yeah, and you and I have had this conversation before, but one of the things, as you know, I lost a child a number of years ago, and emotionally I had collapsed.
Mm-hmm.
I just curled up in a fetal position for about 18 months. And the business kept going because my staff just gave me the same respect that I had given them. And they covered it, and they just made it work and kept it together until I was able to come back effectively.
That's awesome. It's great that you have such a great team like that. And that all shows for the clients as well.
It does, because the employees care. So every so often, you call the 1-800 go away numbers,
Uh-huh.
and you get that level one snuffy answering the phone, who reads his or her flashcards and pulls a string on their back.
Right.
And because they're either completely indifferent, or they're untrained, or both.
Right.
And when you're talking to people about, when people pay you money for something, money is emotional. I don't care what they're paying you money for, but if I'm not getting a response from you, or I don't think that you're listening to me, I feel a disconnect with your service or product. And people don't get that here.
Can you talk? Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about your employees, how you give them one day off to do philanthropic work?
Yeah, well, everybody wants to do good, but, we're, as a society, we're busy. And I don't know what we're busy doing, but we're busy. Everybody's busy. And there's a lot of noise, and people don't have the time to do good. Mm-hmm. So I'm not a big proponent of organized religion, so this is how I tithe. Go off and do good. You get 12 days a year in addition to your PTO, and go do good. I don't care what charity it's for. Go do something, give something back. Come back and tell us about it and share it with us so we can feel good about that same event and experience.
That is so cool. I love that. I absolutely love that. What a great idea. Before we move on, I want to say that I'm so appreciative of our sponsors and must thank them. Please support our sponsors and tell them that you heard about them on Hilary Topper On Air. Special thanks to the Russo Law Group, MedPro, and Fortune Fine Jewelry. And back to you. So talk to me a little bit about the policies that you have that's impacted your employees, your business, and the culture at Creative Plan Designs.
Well, the story comes about when back in the early to mid 80s, before we had internet and cell phones and everything, I was getting ready to leave for work, and I had my youngest son decided to throw up on me. And it was, just difficult difficult in that environment to reschedule your day.
Uh-huh.
But I had to stay home and take care of them.
Right.
And so now you're, tethered to the wall with a phone that's, that horrible yellow phone on the wall, and you're making phone calls and you're trying to reschedule your day. And, we did have call waiting, so people could call me back while I was rescheduling other things. But from that, we just realized that life gets in the way. It just happens. So our attitude here is, if stuff happens, just go take care of it. You have to stay at home and wait for cable vision, sometimes between the hours of 10 on Monday morning and 3 o'clock the following Saturday. Then you stay home and you wait for cable vision because somebody has to do it.
Right.
Your kid's sick, stay home. Your head's up your butt, you're not working anyway.
Right. Right.
You're not focused. Stay home with your child. Do what you have to do. We had a woman here the other day whose daughter had a problem with her appendix, and she's one of my newer employees, and she's standing there on her cell phone in the hallway, and she's got tears in her eyes. I said, "What are you doing? What's the matter?" And she says, she describes. I said, "Why are you here? Go." And apparently, in her last place, she wouldn't have been able to do that.
Huh.
And
Amazing.
knowing her prior employer, I know that, which is why she's here. But it's that kind of thing. You treat them like human beings with human conditions and human problems, and they come back and they're grateful.
And they stay around. So let's talk about the next topic, which is how you attract and retain employees. Talk about the number of years of service that most of your employees are at this point.
Our average employee is with us 19.3 years.
Wow. Kudos to you.
And the average is down because I did have 3 people retire last year. Because I've got a couple that are pushing 30 years.
Huh.
The median is 17. So it's it's just they stay. It's a nice place. I want to come back as an employee here.
Maybe I should get a job with you.
How are your math skills?
Not so good.
And then never mind. I'm not interested.
So let's talk a little bit about culture versus other third-party administrative firms. You alluded to it before with the example of the woman with with her child with the appendix. Can you talk a little bit about that? How your culture differs from other firms?
Well, we tend to overstaff here because we tend to spend so much time with our clients. So it's not a mass production kind of a shop. So most firms, in their world of competing, and there's this race to the bottom with fees for everybody, we say, listen, these are our fees. This is our value. We're going to talk to you. We're going to walk you through the process. We're going to give you choices. When you have professionals that work for you, they want to be able to work in that environment instead of rushing through stuff and pushing as much paper as they humanly can. And the more they do that, the more consultative they become. The more consultative they become, the better they feel about themselves, because now they have a tangible product that they can wrap their head around, as opposed to, I just pushed out 600 tax returns in this tax season. So our people maybe handle 75 clients instead of 250.
Wow.
You as the client benefit from that. It may cost you a few $100s more, but you have a sense of what you have, because oftentimes I'll walk into a potential new client's office and say, how do you like your TPA? And I'll say, we don't even know who our TPA is.
Huh.
And I have to go through their bills to figure out who they're paying, because they have no relationship with the people doing this work. But we're talking about your exposure on the fiduciary side. We're talking about your ability to actually retire. We're talking about the litigious nature of society today where your employees could sue you because you didn't give them the right piece of paper or disclosure, you better know who your TPA is in that space and how attentive they are to your needs.
So
To that effect, if we had, I'm sorry, go ahead.
what you're saying here is that, it's really about the relationship. It starts with the relationship that you have with your staff, and then the relationship that they have with the clients that you guys serve.
It's all about that. And we keep coming back to the emotional component of money. What's in that retirement plan is one of the three largest assets almost every business person will have. Those assets being the cash in the retirement plan, their house, and the value of their business. And in some order, what we're dealing with is one of their three largest assets. And it's scary to people. And if you think about the money in the retirement plan, there's a lot of negative emotions attached to it. I'm getting old, I'm getting displaced, I'm getting dead, I'm getting disabled, I'm getting divorced. This lump of money is in the middle of all of that. And then it's compounded by the fact that most people have no sense of the value of that money and the numerical implication of it in their retirement life. They just know it's a lot of money, but they don't know where it fits.
Mm-hmm.
So we try to help people understand that. And again, we don't handle the money. I don't care where the money is, but you have to have some understanding of what it means. And we're very good at taking these very complex issues and reducing it to crayon. I will sit down and draw little stick drawings and little boxes and Venn diagrams for people and take very complicated retirement plan issues and reduce it to, a postcard. And most of my staff can do that as well.
It's awesome. That's awesome. Because a lot of times you go, to one of these firms and it just goes right over your head. You don't understand, you're not sure. And that's great that you guys do that you sit there and you really explain to people what it all means.
Well, we have a real disconnect in our particular space. So when you think about the $29 trillion, that's with a T, that sits in the private retirement sector, there's no bar for admission for somebody to hang out a shingle and compete with us. So you could legally hang out a shingle and say, "Hi, I'm Hilary Topper, TPA," and people will pay you to administer their plan. You don't have to know anything about it.
Wow.
And that's the majority of the world that we compete against. So we run into firms that somebody bought a piece of software and they're literally working out of their garage with their bunny rabbit slippers. Or the big box places where they have nobody with a pension credential. One of the major providers in our space has about, I'm trying to think, somewhere around 40,000 retirement plans that they administer, but they have nobody with a pension credential. They have a bunch of salespeople credentials on the asset side, but nobody with a pension credential. And then you run into firms like ours where we have a half a dozen people that have U.S. Treasury Department licenses. The firm is CEFEX certified. We're one of only 51 firms nationally that have been able to get through that. It's an industry designation for sufficiency in the space. And everybody here is credentialed right down to some of the clerical support staff, because there's a lot of stuff to know.
Right.
So at the very least, I want to know that my least trained person is at least as well trained as anybody in another firm. So, the bad metaphor I draw for people sometimes, it's like the fish sandwich at SeaWorld. Was that the slow learner? I don't want your worst employee if they're not trained.
Right. Right. So tell the listeners how they can get in touch with you to learn more about creative plan designs.
Well, we have our website, which is not a lot of information there. It's sort of just who we are kind of thing. And that's at www.cpdltd.com, which is for Creative Plan Designs Limited. Or they can call us at 516-742-6123, and a real human being actually answers the phone.
Can you just repeat that phone number just a little slower this time?
516-742-6123.
Thanks so much, Ron, for being on the show. This was so informative, and your Creative Plan Designs sounds like an amazing place not only to work, but to do business with. So thank you.
Well, thank you.
And I also want to thank our sponsors, the Russo Law Group, NetPro, and Fortune Fine Jewelry. And last but not least, I want to thank you, our listeners, for tuning in. If you want more information on this show or any other show, visit our website at hilarytopperonair.com, or you can find us on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, Mixcloud. You name it, we're out there. I hope you have a great week, and we'll see you next time.